Hello, everyone. We hope that you are doing well. My name is Pratip Sandrasekharan, and I'm from the Department of Biotechnology, Manipal International University. So, for the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to engage with you and going to walk you through on the topic biotechnology and Manipal International University. I know this is a pre-recorded session, but I try to get myself engaged as much as I can, so that I don't, I can keep you alive and don't bore you. All right. Okay. So just to start up with coffee. Anyone had coffee today? Any coffee lovers? I love coffee a lot. I love my coffee with milk. But the most important is, of course, I love the coffee shop environment. I'm sure most of you would agree to me as well. But unfortunately, I don't know, I can't remember when was the last I went to a coffee shop and enjoyed sipping my coffee. But as much as we love coffee, but do you know that there are some people who are unfortunate that they can't enjoy their coffee with milk? And these people are known as lactose intolerant. Now, what is lactose intolerant? But before that, you have to know what is lactose. Lactose is basically a kind of a sugar, a natural sugar which is found in the milk. And a person with a lactose intolerant, they can't take in lactose. It's something like, for the lactose intolerant people, to consume lactose is like taking poison. So you can imagine a newborn baby whereby the baby's main food is milk. But if the baby is lactose intolerant, it can't drink anything, it can't consume anything. But fortunate to say, with the use of biotechnology, we can overcome this problem. Today, there are available lactose free milk, and not just lactose free milk, lactose free products that help the lactose intolerant people to eat just like us, to enjoy the food just like us. And this is enabled by biotechnology. Now, if you look into biotechnology, now this is one word. Biotechnology is one word, but we can break them into two. So, bio basically looking into the biological aspect, and the technology is being the technology. So, biological aspect means it can be anything that is comes with a plant, animal, insect, bacteria, just a cell, as long as it's a living organism, right? We call it as a biological aspect. And with the right technology, we can utilize this biological aspect for the benefit of humankind. Another example that I can tell you is on diabetes. Now, what is this diabetes? But before we look into the diabetes, we have to understand that insulin is a normal hormone which is being secreted by every human being. Every human being able to secrete insulin. But in the diabetes, there are two types of diabetes: diabetes type 1 and type 2. The diabetes type 1, the insulin being produced by these people are not compatible. So what does it mean by compatible? Now this insulin, what does the insulin does? Insulin is very important. When we eat, the food that we eat, it will break into small molecules and it will enter into the blood. And in the blood, it will be circulating through our cells, our body, whereby the food, the carbohydrate that we eat, break into small molecules of sugar, small molecules of glucose, and this glucose will enter into the cells. Why the glucose need to enter? Once the glucose enter into the cell, it will go through biochemical process and it will turn the glucose into energy. So the cell need energy, the body need energy. The glucose need to be burned in order to get the energy. So the key for the glucose can't enter the cell just like that. In order for the glucose to enter into the cell, it needs insulin. So the insulin will go and bind to the cell. It will bind to the cell's receptor. And that will be the key for the glucose to go in. In the diabetes type 1, the insulin is not compatible. Just you can imagine like you have a key and a lock, and this is the wrong key. Can you open the lock? You can't. So in the diabetes type 1, where the insulin is being the wrong key, so it will not allow the glucose to go in, and as a result, you will not get energy. For a diabetes patient, will not get energy. In the diabetes type 2, the person will produce insulin, but however, the cells being insensitive to the insulin. So as a result of that, it requires more insulin so that it can do normal function. So regardless of diabetes type 1 or type 2, the takeaway message is diabetes patient require insulin. Despite of insulin is being produced within the body, they require insulin from external sources. Right now, the question is, where does this external insulin source is coming from? If we start to analyze on this, we can trace back. There was a time where insulin was obtained from cow. So usually the cow will be slaughtered, will be killed. We know that the pancreas is the organ that produces the insulin. So insulin is taken from the cow's pancreas and it is given to diabetic patient. But there is a problem with this. How many people that we can supply insulin in this way? And with that, how many animals or how many cows that we have to slaughter? It's not really practical. And diabetes is not, one time you give insulin and it will cure. It is a lifelong, it's a prolonged situation. So you need insulin continuously. So you can imagine how many animals that we have to slaughter or we have to kill. So this is not being practical. Another problem is where sometimes this animal will have diseases. When they have diseases and you take the insulin from this animal and you give it to human beings, what happens next is the disease will be transmitted to human as well. So taking insulin from animal source, killing animal and taking the insulin from animal, it's not really a practical way. So how do we solve this problem? We need insulin to be given to diabetic patients, but we can't take it from animal. So how do we deal about this? So this is where biotechnology comes in. The use of biological system, the use of biological organism in order to help human being. And that is where biotechnology comes in. What we had learned is insulin is secreted in normal human being. So meaning to say that in a human pancreas, in an islet of Langerhans, there are groups of cells, particularly the beta cell is the one that produces insulin. Meaning to say that the beta cell, it has a blueprint that enable this beta cell, specifically this beta cell, to secrete or to synthesis the insulin. Only this beta cell can produce insulin. So which means this beta cell, it has a blueprint. Now the blueprint that we are talking about is the DNA. So inside the DNA, it contains a particular section called a gene, and this gene is the one that enable insulin to be created by the beta cell. Now, using biotechnology and modern biotechnology tools, we can actually identify what is the exact gene that functions or that is responsible in producing the insulin. In fact, using the modern biotechnology tool, we can cut them. We can use a molecular scissor or enzymes, and we can actually crop a particular section of this gene, and we can actually take this gene. If we look into here, what we have here is the gene. We can take this gene and we can put that into a bacterial genome. So human gene that is responsible to produce the insulin, we can take that and put into the bacteria. We can incorporate this gene into the bacteria. We can instruct the bacteria to produce human insulin. And all we have to do is, once we have created a bacteria that can able to produce human insulin, we have to supply them with food and we have to grow them in a bioreactor. It's just like yourself and myself. We need food to live, food to survive. So just like that, bacteria also need food. So what we do is we give them food, we make them to grow, we make them to multiply in a tank, in a system. So they will be happily eating and multiplying. Besides multiplying, they will also synthesize the insulin as a byproduct. And we can actually take the insulin, we can purify them, and we can give it to people who need. So this is how modern biotechnology come into play, whereby we use the biological organism, which is the bacteria. We use the bacteria's biological system, the biochemical pathway, in order to synthesize the human insulin. Now, I hope that you have a very good idea on what is biotechnology right now. Now, we need to know, or we want to know, how Manipal International University engage in the biotechnology program. Now, looking into this slide with the bat and everything, definitely there's only one thing that will strike into our mind, which is the ongoing pandemic, coronavirus. Now, coronavirus, as we know, it started in December 2019, but that was not the first of its kind. There were previous record of its cousin, which was SARS, MERS, and then only the COVID or the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The SARS virus, it became a pandemic in 2002. I'm not sure whether you were born by then, um, but I was still schooling at that time. Of course, we had some cases in Malaysia as well, but the condition was not as bad as the current situation, where we didn't go through lockdown and everything, but we were put in alert and we were kept in precaution state. So basically, the SARS in 2002, it started due to a mammal that carries the virus. Of course, someone went and eat this mammal, and that's why it spread, just like the COVID. In 2012, it was MERS. It started in the Middle East, also known as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS. It's due to virus being carried by camel and someone who ate the camel meat, and that's where the pandemic started. And it's actually affected badly in the some of the Middle East country. And in 2019, there need no introduction, but we do not know what was the animal. Some say it's pangolin, some say it's snake. But regardless of any animal, any mode of transmission, but obviously it came from an animal. If we look into SARS, MERS, and COVID-19, it all came from different sources of animal. So one is from mammal, another one is from camel, another one is from pangolin or snake. We have no idea. But however, the similarity between these three pandemic is bat. The bat is the primary cause of this pandemic or the disease or the virus spread. The virus spread from the bat. So it actually transmits from a bat to intermediary animal. So it can be a mammal, it can be camel, or it can be pangolin or snake, anything. But actually the virus, it actually spread from the bat to this intermediary animal. So if we look into this from this pattern, we don't think that COVID-19 is going to be the last of its kind. As long as bats are there, this bat can spread to another unknown animal in another unknown time and another unknown pandemic can outbreak. And if you look into the severity, it can be much more severe than COVID-19. So all we can conclude is eating exotic animal which is not being inspected on the food safety, the safety of the food, can actually put us into a serious problem. Just like what happened when SARS first outbreak, when MERS first outbreak, and even when COVID-19 first outbreak. And just to keep you on alert, this could happen in Malaysia as well. In fact, Malaysia can become an epicenter of pandemic in future if we did not or if we do not take precautionary step from now itself. The reason why I'm saying this is because Malaysia is actually one of the wildlife trafficking center in Southeast Asia. A lot of exotic animals are illegally being trafficked to Malaysia. And there are a lot of Malaysians who love to eat wildlife animal, exotic animal, whereby the safety of this food, the safety of this animal are not known or it is least known. We do not know what type of virus that these animals are carrying. It's just it could be just like the pangolin. And for your information, pangolin is one of the very famous exotic food in Malaysia. Right, and as you can see here, in 2009, sorry, in 2019, 29.8 tons of pangolin products has been confiscated in Malaysia. And this pangolin meat is meant for exotic food trade in the dark market. So if we didn't take a precaution, didn't look into the safety of this food or the safety of um, or in other words, if we didn't take a proper measure, in years to come, Malaysia can become an epicenter as well for another new pandemic. And we have to take lessons from the history, from the past as well, because this is not just forecasted. In fact, Malaysia had become an epicenter of pandemic previously. Malaysia, yes, Malaysia were own its own virus. It's not a coronavirus, all right? And but this virus is known as the Nipah virus. It happens in 1999 in Tambun, and this virus spread from pork meat, which caused 105 deaths. Of course, when we look into the death rate of Nipah virus and coronavirus, Nipah virus looks very less. However, we have to understand that the mortality rate of Nipah virus was 40 to 75 percentage, as compared to the COVID-19 is just about 3 to 5 percentage. So one of the aspects of biotechnology, in fact, in Manipal International University, group of scientists, including myself and my students, we look into the food safety. So our work is we look into how safe are the food, and we analyze the food, that it whether it contain bacteria or virus, what are the prevalence of bacteria in the food, mainly in the street food. We don't really look into the exotic animal, because in order for us to access to the exotic animal is very hard. So we basically look into the street food. We study on the street food, we study on the safety of the street food, we look into the bacteriological quality of the street food, we look into some of the very pathogenic bacteria such as Salmonella, E. coli 0157H7, right, in the street food, in the um, meat being sold in the street, as well as eggs, right, and other foodborne pathogens spreading vectors as well. So these are what we are studying in Manipal International University. I mean, this is what my group or our group are studying. Of course, one of the group whereby we are looking into this in food safety of the street food. Just to introduce to you, or just to show you some of my students. This is one of my student who actually his research was awarded with the best presentation award in one of the conference for the study on salmonella in the street food. These are some of the other students of mine, whereby their research has been published in the international research papers, whereby they were studying on the E. coli and other pathogenic bacteria. So, in a nutshell, of course, we had seen that what is biotechnology is all about. With an example with the insulin, and I had also showed you what my group, especially in Manipal International University, we are dealing with food products and ensuring the safety of the food. And this is where our research is all about. So, if you would like to know more about biotechnology program or any other program that is being offered in Manipal International University, feel free to go to the website and browse through. These are some of the programs which is being offered in Manipal International University. Feel free to go to our website and browse through, look through um, some of the courses being offered, the scholarships which are available, and yeah, of course, feel free to contact our um, program counselors and to talk to gain more knowledge on the courses being offered and the scholarships which are available. So I think I hope the sharing that I made will open up your mind on what is biotechnology is all about. I would like to thank you for being patient and to listen to me. Um, all the best for your upcoming exams, and take care. Take care and stay safe. Take care.